Okay. Hello, everybody. How are we doing today? Let me get the chat room open on my Mac Pro here. Sorry for the technical difficulties. Man, I have my lights bright today. I'm going to turn them down just a tad. Just a quick thumbs up. Make sure you guys can hear me while I get the chat room open on my desktop here. Okay. Sweet. And YouTube's always moving stuff around. It drives me bonkers. All right, finally, here we go. Pop out chat. Okay, here we go. Sorry about that, guys. Okay. How's everyone doing today? Sorry, we missed out last week. I had some other business to take care of outside the house. So, yeah. But lots and lots of people are absolutely loving Foundation 6. So I'm really happy about that. Hopefully you're enjoying it as well. So today what I wanted to do is I've been working on a bunch of new templates. And yeah, my shirt's staring at you. Yeah, Paul. Steve Jobs, pretty cool shirt. Yep, one of my favorite shirts too. This is my favorite hat. I do love it. So yeah, what I wanted to do today was to talk about templates, and I have a bunch of new templates coming out this week, and I think I've created 10 of them so far, 10 new ones, and I fixed the whole update looping on the templates. So sorry about that. I had to rework my build system and whatnot because yeah. Anyway, so yeah, that's good. We're going to create a couple probably simple templates today as well that I think, that will help new people create things like tabs and accordions that will transform into tabs. And if we have time, maybe some off-canvas stuff. And what I also would like to do is if you have any questions, I plan on, I can deviate and kind of dive into anything. If you guys have some questions that you'd like me to go over and review for probably Foundation 6 related, let's keep it to Foundation 6 for today. So if you have any questions around that, I'd be happy to answer all of those live. So without further ado, let's jump in. Let me get Rapweaver started here. Okay, and let's get the whole screen share turned on here. Let's see if we can make that a little bit better. Or is it this one? Okay. Let's do this. Let me make sure that we can see everything here. Sweet. Okay. Everyone can see everything, I hope. There we go. So already got a couple questions popping in. Can you show how to do responsive navigation? Sure, it's kind of inherent. The menus are responsive. If we have time, I'll dive into, you can morph between different menus. We can dive into that. I think I did that in one of the live streams already, though, where we kind of went from a drop-down menu to a drill-down menu. If you look at the top bar template, that is exactly what that does. It morphs from a drop-down menu to a drill-down menu. The key there is to start with how you want things to look like on mobile. So there we go. Question, which third-party stacks can be used in combination with Foundation 6? Answer should be pretty simple. Everything should work. So all third-party stacks should work. I have a couple updates I need to ship, like my badges stack. Someone found there was a conflict with Foundation 6, so I'll release an update to my badges stack. But in theory, every stack should work with Foundation 6. So there shouldn't be any third-party stack that won't work with Foundation 6. I know Big White Duck has some Foundation stacks, and those were really built for Foundation 1. Those will not work in Foundation 6, and I believe eventually those will be deprecated and probably removed, since they were made to work with Foundation 1. So yeah, those particular, I mean, those were made to be, again, those were made, and they're even labeled Foundation something or other, right? So yeah, there are a few stacks that were made for Foundation 1 from Big White Duck that won't work in Foundation 6. Just because Foundation 6 is so different. There's so many new APIs and whatnot. Yeah. So that's that. But pretty much a plethora of all stacks out there, especially all of my stacks. And obviously probably like Foundry stacks. Those only work with Foundry. But all of my stacks and any other normal stack out there should definitely work in Foundation 6. If there is any issues, let me or the other developer know, and we'll be happy to look into it. So, yeah, cool. Let's move on. So, I do have a bunch of here. Let's answer a couple of these other questions here. What, in your opinion, are the best use for templates that should not be made into a template, or what should not be made into a template? Oh, okay. So I'll answer that since it's kind of a template related question. Really, I mean, it's really up to you. I just kind of, my philosophy for the templates that I'm shipping. Oops, what did I do there? Where's my mouse? There it is. Let's go into, I actually currently have all the templates installed as externals right now, so don't let that confuse you. They are templates for you guys. But anyway, so what I make as templates are primarily, pre-baked layouts that aren't necessarily difficult, but just make it a little bit easier for you. Like for example, here's a split button, right? Just kind of a nice, easy way for you to see, oh, how do I make a split button, right? With a drop down and stuff like that, or here, a light box. I need to open up a light box. Maybe it's just, yes, I know it's really simple. It's just a button that has the same ID as my lightbox stack, right? But creating that as a template just makes it a little bit easier for me, because I can just drag and drop the template out there, tweak the things to what I want, and it'll just work out of the box, right? So there really isn't any sort of best practice for what makes a good template and what not. It just, whatever is useful for you, right? And so yeah, whatever is useful for you to make a template, do it. Templates are pretty new. They were released in Stacks 4, so we're definitely, I think Foundation 6 is the first probably product that is really getting major use out of templates, and I'm trying to promote them and get more use out of them for us. So they're definitely a great learning tool, and hopefully over time we'll refine what is a good template and maybe what isn't a good template. So I really don't have a good answer to that right now. I've been shipping templates for 2 or 3 weeks now. So over time, again, we'll just refine them, and we'll both get better at it, together. So I'm sure I'll make better templates in the future. I'm sure you'll know what templates to make better in the future and stuff like that. So hopefully that answers your question a little bit. Okay. I'm getting some audio issues, audio delays. Sorry. Maybe try refreshing your browser. I'm not sure. Sorry about that. Last time I tried to fix that by stopping and restarting the stream, it was a disaster. So we're just gonna go with it today. Hopefully it'll be okay though. Okay. Oh man, I just moved the window out of your view. Okay. I'm just going to quickly review some of the new templates that are coming this week. So I have had a few questions about what about social templates or social buttons and stuff like that. So I created 2 new social buttons, and let's add both of these let's add this one to the page. This first one uses actually separate buttons. Okay. And if we extract that, we'll see that what it does is it creates, it has, I added background colors. So we have the Facebook blue, right? Twitter blue, Instagram, kind of that Instagram-ish color, and YouTube red, right? And so I created some swatches for the backgrounds and added that background color in there. We have separate buttons. In the buttons, what I did is I took the Font Awesome 5 SVG code and I put that directly into the label right up here. So if we look at, where is it? There it is. So I put in the SVG code directly right here inside of the label for this button. Okay. This is just a straight link button. Nothing really special there. And then what I did is I just set the link to be the URL to my Facebook page, right? Same thing for Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram. Okay. And then what I did is I added 2 classes to each button. I added a class called social button, and I'll show you what the reason I did that. And then I added another class that's specific to that social network. So this particular one is Facebook, right? And that Facebook class uses the swatch to apply the Facebook blue color. Okay. And then the social button, the reason I have social button is I wanted to make sure that all the buttons are the same exact width. Okay. So they're all the same size, right? Because each, depending on the icon, like for example, the Facebook icon is really narrow because it's just an F, while the Twitter and Facebook are a little bit fatter, right? So if I didn't make all the buttons the same size, they would actually be different size because the button would constrain its width to the size of the icon. And I wanted them to all look uniform. So what I did is I just set them all to have a static width. So I said, I went to a background, added the class name of social-button. And then what I did is I set the width to be 64 pixels. And then because I applied social button to each of these buttons, they all now have the same exact width. So they all look uniform. Now, another cool thing about this template is it actually shows us something interesting and how buttons behave. Because buttons behave differently in Foundation 6 a little bit because they are what's called an inline element. There are various other things like badges and labels that behave like this as well. Whereas you see in edit mode, I added multiple buttons here. But if we preview this, we'll see that all those buttons are in line. Okay, so buttons themselves will be in line. So if you add just buttons on top of each other, they will all simply just kind of line up. Let's go ahead and add a little bit of padding and margins here so that we have a little bit of space. Oops, I didn't want to preview in the browser. There we go. Let's close Safari. So pretty simple. That is just a simple social buttons. Really nice. It's really cool to have these colors as well. I think I might bake social colors in. I thought that'd kind of be a cool thing because I think a lot of people are going to want Facebook blue and Twitter blue and YouTube red, right? So instead of having you search for all that stuff, I'll kind of make it easy inside the background swatch and maybe some other swatches so that you can really get Facebook blue really quick. You don't need to go search for it. So I thought that was a pretty cool idea. I had that idea after creating these. So, but for now, this ships with a bunch of swatches. You can just copy these out if you want to use them for different purposes, right? So there we go. Nice. Let's go ahead and delete this one and let's add in a different social button group. And this uses a button group instead of regular buttons. And so this uses a button group. It gives a slightly different effect, right? So if we just preview this, it's kind of like this bar, right? And then I rounded the outsides of it. So it kind of gives us a unique kind of pill look. So it's just a different style of button. So there we go. But it's the same exact concept, right? Each of these are just links where I put in the SVG code for that particular icon directly into here. Actually, one thing I did do is I actually, if we look here, I added height equals 20 to give the every icon the same exact height. So I want to make sure the height is the same so that they all look uniform. So that's one thing I did do and I did that in the previous template as well. Excuse me. So yeah, if you go in ahead in here and you want to like add your own sort of social icon, you might want to add that height equals 20 or whatever size you want, right? If you want them smaller or bigger, that will scale it so that make sure that they're all uniform and they're all the same size. Okay. And then we just set the link to the actual profile. So like this is the YouTube one. And then here we have the same thing, social button to make sure that they're all the same size. And then we have YouTube. Okay. There we go. That's just, again, a button group. Really, really simple. So Peter asks, are we planning to provide a location where users can upload F6 templates defined by other people? Yes. That is definitely something that I'm going to work on in 2020. Right now, you can simply post onto Weaverspace. You can upload zip files there, but if I think something is really cool or you have a great idea, I will happily ship those templates with your approval to other people as well, so that people can auto update. We could just mass this really great collection of templates, and then it'll just auto update and everyone will get it. So if you have a really great template and you think it would be awesome for other people, and you'd like to share it, email it over to me. And if I think it's great too and useful for others, I will just include it in the Foundation 6 templates. And I'll probably give you some credit in the release notes and stuff like that. Say thanks. But yeah, I think templates are going to be really great, especially user provided ones would be awesome too. So, but yes, I do want to have some sort of upload gallery where people can upload and share on Weaverspace their templates. I think that'd be a really, really great idea. Cool. Okay. Let's see next. So this one's really cool. This next one is really, really slick. And I did it on the Hangout last Friday. So those of you that were in the Hangout on Friday, we created this multi-step layout. And it's really cool. It's basically, and I actually have an example that uses forms as well. But we use tabs. And we use tabs to create this really interesting multi-step layout. Let me just preview it really quick before we go into it. So in here, I misspelled multi-step. Look at that. Okay, so we have multi-step layouts. I kind of explain a little bit on how the template is made. I think that's a good idea. Something I started with this template. Adding a little explanation about various things on why the template was done. So makes this even a better learning tool for you guys, right? So what this does is you click next and it goes to a separate, different content. I added this progress bar, kind of an interesting thing to kind of show progress. So we could see that we're 66% done, right? Click next again and we're complete, right? So the progress is done. And, obviously I just provided the same kind of, the only thing that changes is the title here. But you can then, maybe this is for tutorials and you want to show different images and explanations, or, there's a lot of different use cases for right here. And here you can click previous and you can kind of navigate through these. And this entire thing is done with tabs. It's pretty cool. So let's look at how it's done. So let's look at this. This is basically tabs. Now, to create tabs, as you know, hopefully you need to create, there's two different stacks. Actually, I plan on creating a tabs template, hopefully today, actually. So we have tabs here. And in the tabs, I created step 1, 2, and 3. Now, if you notice in my multi-step, I'm not displaying the tabs. However, for tabs to actually function, we need to have them on the page. So what I did is in the parent tab stack, I just put a class of hide. Okay. And that's just a simple class that will hide whatever you put that on. Right. So I have to have the tabs there or else this doesn't work. Okay. And with this custom class of hide, it just hides it from the page. So they're there, but they're just hidden. Okay. Now, if you wanted, you could display and keep the tabs going. If you wanted to, have the tabs maybe at the top so people can go to a particular step, they can do that. Right. But yeah, so I just hid the tabs and we just have our tab content here. And then in the tab content, we have contents for each step. Okay. So I have, contents for step 1. If you notice, I have tab content step 1 here. And then here we just have the normal text that I have in there. I added a progress bar, which is just there's a progress bar per one, and the progress bar isn't smart. It doesn't go, I'm on tab 2, so I'm going to automatically go to this size. People may think that, right? I mean, you could think that, oh, this progress bar, I see it. It's one element on the page. It's just animated. No. So here I just statically created the progress because I know if they're in tab 2, okay, we're at 66%. So I added a progress bar in here and then, created, added 66%, so on and so forth, right? So it's a little trickery, right? But hey, users think it's really cool and it may be animated or something, but it's just a static thing. So, and then in step 3, the progress bar, instead of saying 100%, I said complete, right? So, then let's look at the buttons, which is the next thing. So if we look at this, if we notice when we're on step 1, we have a previous button, but it's disabled. I can't click on it, okay? And then I click next. Now, the reason I did that, okay, is because if step 1 didn't have 2 buttons and it just had a next button right here, when I click next, it would kind of be jarring in that the next button would move, right? So I wanted it to look uniform, so the button layout kind of was the same, so it was expected by the user. So basically, I just disabled the button in step 1, so we can just click next, and I don't need to move my mouse button, mostly because, the step size is the same, right? So I just click next again. Now, in step 3, I thought it was okay to omit the next button because there isn't anything next, and it doesn't really break the layout because the next button isn't moving. The previous button is still there in the same exact spot. But you could add a next button and then disable it if you wanted, right? So in order to do this layout, I actually shipped some features inside 606 last week that made this possible. So here's in step 1, if we go to the anchor, so we use an anchor button here. If we look here, this particular one is a disabled button, right? So if you look here down in the settings, I had a hollow button and I just set it to be disabled because it's just disabled, right? So there we go. That's the disabled button. If we go to the next button here, it is again an anchor button. I changed the label to be next. What I do is I put in the anchor ID here is the name of the tab that we set up. So I set up my tabs step 1, step 2, and step 3. This particular one is this is on step 1, so the next button needs to be step 2. So I'm linking to step 2 here. Now, in order to link to tabs, this is the new setting that I added in version 606. This is smooth scroll. This is turned on by default. You'll need to turn that off, okay? Because by default, anchor buttons are used to scroll to points on the page, okay? But we don't want to scroll to a point on the page. We just want to interact with the tab. So what I did is I just added this little feature that really allows this button to be used for different reasons, right? So you can use this to link to Accordion things. You can, although I haven't tested that, but in theory it should work for that. But it works great for tabs, okay? And that's really it, right? You can customize the button styles all you want, but so that's how you link. We're linking from step 1 to step 2. And if we go into step 2, we see that I have a previous button. And if we look at that setting, that's just set to, the anchor ID is set to step 1. And again, we turn off the smooth scroll. And the next button is linked to step 3, right? So really, really simple stuff here. And then if we go down to step 3, we have the previous button. And I decided not to have a next button. But you could if you wanted, and then disable it. And then here I'm linking since we're on step 3, the previous step is step 2. So we link to that. So that's really it. Pretty simple stuff, but I think this is a really great layout. I think it's going to be really useful for different things, kind of thinking outside the box on using tabs, right? And I guess one thing that I kind of didn't display here really quick, I'm going to delete this swatch really quick. So by default, if you'll notice, tabs has a border around it, around the whole container of the content. If Hopefully you can see that. It's a light gray, but it's a border. I didn't want that border, right? So what I did was I simply added a border swatch, and I used the components, and I set the component to be tab content. Now, actually, I had to tweak this. If you want to build this today, you're going to need 6.07 because I modified the tab components inside the swatches to properly target that a little bit better. So if you click tab content, and then basically I just said down here is border is set to none, right? So I'm setting the border to be none on tab content, and yeah, that was it. Pretty simple. Someone asked, could you add the field per price range to the local business? Not sure I understand that one. Okay, so that's multi-steps. Really quick, I'll just show you. I created a multi-step form template. Where is forms? Forms. There it is. Forms, multi-step form. Okay, so we have multi-step form. And let's just preview this. I'm not going to go through this. It's pretty much the same exact concept. I just wanted to kind of show people how you could use this with a form, right? So like here, let's say step 1 is contact information. You click next. You have other form fields where they fill out data. They click next, and then they fill out more data, and then they can click, instead of a next button here, it's the submit button, right? So this is a really, really cool layout for forms. And as you see, I use this progress thing to kind of show you how far along you are. There's other ideas. Maybe you have, little icons that show maybe badges, right? That show, maybe kind of like the little bullets. Maybe we can use the bullets from Orbit. I never thought about that, but, right. So you can show, a progress indicator that way. So you have like a step 1, if you have a 4-step thing, you have, 2 hollow bullets and 2 filled in bullets to kind of show some sort of, or you can use, your own SVGs for that as well, right? Just get SVGs from Font Awesome or wherever you want, chuck those in there as images, and you're good to go, right? So pretty simple there too. But I thought this was interesting use for that progress indicator. You can see here, I just say thank you when you're done, something like that. Kind of cool. Anyway, I'm not going to dive in. The form, this is exactly the same. I just put in form fields, and instead of on the last slide, I put a submit button. So pretty interesting stuff there. Hopefully you get a lot of use out of that. Will the form entries stay when you go to the previous step? Yes. Here. So here, let's just preview this really quick. So if I do Joe and put in my email, oops. Right. Okay, and I click next, and then I pick a number, 23. If I go back to previous, you'll see that all the data is still there. So everything is still there. I mean, really, because all this is all of this data, it doesn't refresh the page or go to a different page. It's just tabs within the page. So all the data is still there on the page. It's just kind of going back and forth. Hopefully that makes sense. So, we're not going to a new page. It's just using tabs, right? The content's still there. So yeah, it's pretty clever. I think I really like it, actually. I think it's a really clever use for multi-step forms. In the future, I do plan on adding maybe, there's other methods of using multi-step forms. I might do that in the future, but to be honest, I'm really happy with this. I think it works really, really well. I'd be interested to see how you guys use it, and if it works out well for you, and if you have any sort of ideas on how to improve that or make multi-steps a little bit better. But anyway, I'm really happy with that. So multi-step forms and layouts. Validation. Yeah, there's form validation. I guess one of the gotchas with validation is you probably should validate that. Actually, that's probably a good thing, right? If I were to make it so when you click next, it would validate those form fields before going to the next step, right? That's probably something that would be really nice to happen. that's not possible right now. I don't know how we would do that. I'd have to think about that a little bit more. But really good case, Danny. Thanks for mentioning that. I never even thought about that, because right now, it would you get all the way down to the last step, and when you hit submit, that would trigger the form validation, right? And then maybe there's some class that I can add to the next button or something like that. I'll think about that. But yeah, good question. That would definitely be a gotcha, because it would you would validate on the last step, and you could have validation errors, but then they'd kind of have to go back to the various steps to figure out where their error was, right? Interesting. I get actually, yeah, I'd probably have to make that more robust. You could have the errors for the form show outside of the tab content, so that when you hit submit, the error field for the name would show below, but then it wouldn't auto navigate to it. I don't know. Good question. So there are some gotchas with validation, especially field validation. If you want to, like, there's an error all the way back in step 1. So, but it is possible now, especially if we were to get the errors to display outside the tab content, which is possible. I kind of went over that a little bit inside one of my live streams when I did the form stuff. I think that was the second live stream when I did forms. I went over validation and how you can separate out the errors and the fields and stuff like that. But that definitely is advanced use cases. So, okay. Okay, they did all that. Okay, footer. So this is actually, I kind of like this one. I think I went over, I built this footer during the third live stream, the preview number 3. And I really liked it. I thought it was really clever, actually. So I made a template out of it. And let's look at it right now. Can I? No, you can't do that. Let's preview in the browser. What I like about this footer is it does some things that you might not think, right? First off, let's look at it really quick. Let's extract it. So it uses Grid Pro, and it uses Grid Pro so that if you notice the column order, on mobile, the little space guy is at the bottom, but then on tablet and desktop, it's over on the first column, right? So and we do that through the ordering options inside Grid Pro, right? So if you go to the grid cells, we use these ordering to change the orders of the cells, or the order of the columns based on the device we're on, right? Or the size of the browser. Another interesting thing is these links are done with menus, right? So this is it's a menu stack. It's not like when I went to build the footer, I was like, oh, let's just create a link, like a list, right? Using the text stack, right? And you could do that, right? But by using the menu, it gives us a lot of flexibility. And the reason it gives us flexibility is because if we notice here, I center, they're all vertical on desktop, okay? But then when we go to mobile, if these lists of links were still vertical, right, it would take up tons of space on mobile, right? So I didn't want that. I didn't like that. So that's what made me think about using menus, because then we could say the menu on mobile, okay, on small, will go horizontal, right? So and then they kind of flow underneath each other. And I thought this was brilliant. Like, I thought this was a really great use case. I think this is just a really great footer, right? So I'm happy with this layout. I know there's tons of other footer layouts out there, and I'm excited to see what you guys build. Share them with me, please. I'd love to see them and share them with others. It'd be really exciting to see different footer layouts. This is a lot of really great use case in this template, because it uses, again, the ordering inside Grid Pro, and it uses the menus here. Someone earlier was asking about responsive menus. This is exactly what this is, right? Because on desktop, I have more space, so I can go vertical. But then on mobile, we go horizontal, right, with the menu. And we still have access to all the links, right? Really cool there. Okay, so that is the footer template that I created. Have I created another? No. Where is it? oh, here's off canvas menu. So some people were asking, how can we build and use off canvas to build a menu? So I created a template for that. Okay. So here we have, in this template, we have two, I've shown you an example where you can have two different sides, right? So this is just an off canvas, and we have, it's the same menu, but you can have multiple menus. And what's actually cool is the off canvas content areas. Let's look at it. Let's extract it. Okay, so like here is the left panel. Okay, because I set the position here to be left. I also set the canvas ID to be left panel. Okay, but here I have a header and then menu and then header and then menu. What's really cool is these panels are very flexible. You don't have to use them for a menu. You can display whatever content you want in them to kind of show in off the side, right? So really powerful stuff there. I think I'm really happy with how off canvas is implemented. And if we go down to here, let's hide that really quick. And here we have the right. Again, for easiness of the template, it's just the same exact content, but you can have different content for the right. And we also have bottom and left, but normally, traditionally for menus, it's going to be coming off the right or left traditionally. Although, I'd be interesting to see how, because mobile, we're all using our right, we're all using our phones like this, right? And it'd be really cool if what if we came up, traditionally the menus will slide in from the left or the right, right? But what if the menu was to slide up from the bottom, right? Because that's where my thumb is. So it would be quite interesting to come up with some off canvas layouts where the menu slides up from the bottom, right? I think that'd be really cool. So maybe I'll try to play around with some ideas for that. But if you guys want to go ahead and play around with that, let me know. I'd love to see what you guys come up with. With a lot of this Foundation 6 stuff, it's very flexible to build what you want, right? And then these templates allow us to share those layouts with others. It's really cool. So, okay, let's dive into the rest of this. So here I added a top bar, and that's what houses the left and the right hamburger buttons. Okay. Now, you might be a little confused here because you'll see that the hamburger here, even though it's kind of left aligned here, on preview, it's right aligned. That's just kind of the magic that happens and some of the differences between how edit mode works and whatnot. Because the hamburger, it will, when it's in the right side of the top bar, it'll auto shift to the right. Okay, so we don't need any sort of alignment, even though it does look left aligned in edit mode. So top bar here, top bar just gives us, an easy way of having that layout, right? That bar. Okay. And I added a custom class of menu bar there. And then you will notice here that that's where I got the background color for top bar. And that's where I added a little bit of padding to it as well. Okay. And, I created this menu panel swatch here that adds padding of 1 rem. And then that's added to each panel so that we have a little bit of padding in the content. Okay. So that what doesn't go straight to the edge, because we want a little bit of content or padding in that panel. Okay. Now what's also cool is if you notice inside the content, let me go back to the page here. You can open, if you didn't want to use hamburgers, like there's a lot of flexibility here where we can open up these panels from anywhere on the page, right? So I wanted to show you how we can open those from buttons anywhere on the page, right? So we don't need to be tied to that paradigm shift of the menu icon needs to be up at the top right or the top left, right? I mean, that's where traditionally things are done, but if you want to shake things up a little bit, you can really come up with whatever you want, right? Just to show you that you can open it from a button, or you can open it from a link, or you can open it wherever you want, anywhere on the page, right? And so that's what these buttons are here for. So it's just a button group with a button that says, if we look at the setting, this is just, the type of button. It says open off canvas, and we put in the off canvas ID. Obviously that's left panel. And on the right, I gave it an ID of right panel, right? So there we go. Super simple to do. So yeah, hopefully you like that template. It's just really easy way to generate off canvas stuff. Okay. I did one more. Oh, here, header segments. So I had one for styled headers, which was really cool for like doing gradient headers and stuff like that. But I also created this one for header segments, and this is really slick. In that, so let's look at this really quick. So I'm going to open up the header code, and this is for those. This uses a little bit of HTML in here to accomplish this. Okay, but actually, hold on. Before I show you the code, what header segment does? Let me let's just hide that. Okay, so if you notice here, I have header and then segment. So this is one header, but the segment part has a different font and a different color. So you can like apply your styles to half of your header, right? And this is really easy to do actually, especially with swatches, right? So our header by default would have this header color, okay? But the segment, let's say I wanted to target that. So we use a little bit of HTML, okay? And let's look at this, okay? So if you notice, I use something called a span tag, okay? So you do open tag, and then you do class equals header segment, okay? And then we close that tag, and then at the end here, oops, I can't use my mouse. I got to use my keyboard. At the end, we close that span tag, and then inside of those two span tags, we have whatever we want to style, okay? In this thing, it's just segment. Okay, let's look at how can I now target that? Remember we added a class, this little syntax for class equals header dash segment. Okay. And funny enough, when we go to our swatches, all we need to do is, so here I have a web safe font. I just used a local font, Copperplate. Okay. And I choose the class, and my class is header segment. That's it. So now anything that has the class of header segment, which we gave to that segment, will now get this font. Okay. And over here, I get font color. And obviously, I changed the color to be the swatch warning color. And I gave it the same class of header segment. Pretty cool. I have not pushed 607 yet out, Paul. I will push it out when I push this template update out. They'll both go out at the same time. So yeah, there we go. That's header segments. Pretty cool stuff. Just to show you, I mean, how this works, I'm going to duplicate this really quick. And I'm just going to, we'll just do header. So right now I just have a straight header stack, right? It's the same thing. That span tag was the same thing as if I just went over to this custom classes in my header and said header dash segment. Okay. So I added that class, that same class that I added in that span to this header. If you notice, it just got applied to everything, right? So that's how Foundation 6 is. Like, this is how all that stuff works under the hood. It's just this simple little, they don't all use spans, but right? But I mean, it's just, that's the syntax, right? So again, this is, I know some of you are scared of code, but this isn't too scary, right? And it's something easy you can copy and paste or just use this template. That's, again, the power of these templates. You don't need to remember how to do it. If you want a header with a segment, boom, you're done, okay? And then you can apply that header segment swatch to be whatever you want, however you want to style it. Pretty cool. Okay. Sweet. Let me see if there are any other questions that I missed. Okay, valid. Okay, boop. Fontcates Pro, Footer Pro. I haven't played with Nick's Footer Pro. I know that it works with Foundation. I don't know how it does all of its magic behind the hood. It has a pretty nice little web editor feature to it. It looks like a nice product. Again, I haven't played around with it, but yeah, if anyone's used it with Foundation 6, go ahead and post that. I haven't personally used it. I sent Nick a copy of Foundation 6, and I'm pretty sure that he created some examples using it. So yeah, talk to Nick if you are a customer of Footer Pro from Nick. it's pretty good stuff there. Can header segments be used to be a field in the stack panel? Was easier that way. Header segments. Oh, they used to be a field in the stack panel. Okay, well, so headers still have let's go to foundation. So headers still have something called small. Okay. So if you inside of a header, there's still a small segment. Okay. So that is still possible. But small segments are a little bit different, right? So that segmented header was just a little bit different because when you add a small segment, or let's preview this page. Well, that small color is really gray. But if you look at that, right, you'll see that the small segment is made to be smaller, right? So, I mean, you could use swatches to target that small segment, but the segments are really done for, like, if I wanted to target this word inside my header, right, or stuff like that, right? So that was just an example of how you can segment text, right? Because the small segments are really made to be smaller than the header. So yes, you still could be used. You could still use the small segment, and that's still there baked into the header. But that, again, that segment is just a little bit different. So hopefully that helps you out. How about Font Awesome 5? Font Awesome 5. So Font Awesome 5 support is done. Actually, the social templates that I showed earlier. These buttons here. That actually is the Font Awesome 5 Facebook icon, right? So official support for it in terms of, dragging and dropping with stacks is coming. I didn't have time to build that out yet. So maybe like in 6.2, in a few months, we'll probably have official Font Awesome 5 support. So you have it a lot easier, kind of like at what we had with Font Awesome 4. So that is coming. Font Awesome 5 is such a massive project and massively different that I'm trying to come up with a user-friendly way of doing that. But for right now, if you do have Font Awesome 5, you can get the icons, just copy the SVGs. Like here in the buttons, I just paste the SVG code directly inside the button label. Okay, so that works. It's pretty slick. You can also use the SVG stack right here. So if we use the SVG stack, this is a Font Awesome 5 Apple. So here you can just paste the SVG code directly into there. Now, one thing you'll be careful of is depending on how you got the SVG code, it might have a little bit of, hold on, let's look there. It'll probably have, so that is, I'm not sure what this is, but it'll have this code right here. Okay. A lot of times it'll have that XML version, whatever. You need to remove that. Okay. You need to have just the SVG tags. So if you have, and this is true of not only of Font Awesome, but of any other SVG. A lot of times when you copy the SVG code from somewhere, it'll have this little XML tag at the beginning. You need to remove that. Okay. Where does SEO Helper now live? SEO Helper is its own product now. So yeah, it's a great product. Version 2 was shipped, and there are all these stacks right here. Oh, not SEORX. So there is an entire suite of SEO Helper stacks now for sitemap, all kinds of cool stuff. That was released, I don't know, about 6 months ago. And yeah, really, really good stuff. A lot of people are loving the new features that were added in SEO Helper 2. If you owned Foundation 1, you qualify for the upgrade price for SEO Helper 2. So just head over to Weaverspace and you can do that. So yeah, SEO Helper is now its own product, its own standalone product now. Cool. Okay. Since I took a little bit longer to go over all that stuff than I thought. But I wanted to create some templates, so I will do that right now with you guys. So let's build out a tab, and then and then we'll build two templates right now. I'm going to build just a really simple tabs, and then we will build a one that is an accordion on mobile, and then tabs on tablet and desktop. Okay. Is the speed module and SEO helper still handy? Yes and no. So that doesn't. I don't recommend using the SEO helper from Foundation 1 in. I guess you could use it in Foundation 6 if you really wanted to. I really recommend you move to SEO helper 2 though. And then, but SEO helper 2 does not have the page speed component in it. I have plans of creating an entire product suite out of that for page speed. So right now that isn't a possibility. So you could try to add it. I haven't tested it with Foundation 6 at all. I don't see why it wouldn't work. But I've already improved that a little bit, and it will be its own product suite called Page Speed. I don't have any sort of ETAs on that right now though. Okay. Back to creating templates. What were we doing? Tabs. Okay, so with tabs, we have down here at the bottom content. So we need tabs, and then we need tab content. Okay, so they're two separate things. It actually provides a lot of flexibility now, especially maybe you wanted like a oh, that's a really good template idea actually, a 2-column tabs. So like the tabs on the left and the content on the right. Okay, actually for fun, let's go ahead and build that. Or here, we'll create default tabs first. So here, let's just do I'll do something generic like tab 1. Okay, and then so tab 1. Now tab 1 is going to be active. Okay, but we'll do 3 tabs. Okay, so then this one we're going to be tab 2. And this one's going to be tab 3. Okay, and then over here we're going to need to make sure that inside every single tab. So we'll move away from the default. We'll do tab 1 for tab 1. Now tab 1 is going to be active, so I'm going to check that so that tab 1 is active on page load. Okay, and then I'm going to go to tab 2, and we're going to make that be tab 2. That one's not going to be active because only one tab can be active. And then we have tab 3. Okay. And then over here inside the tab content, here, let's just go ahead and add a little bit of content in here. We'll add text to this one. We'll just copy and paste that. I'm just doing Command C, Command V, just to make the content a little bit different. I'll add a table into this one, and this one will add our block quote. Okay. Now inside the tab content stacks, we're going to need to match the IDs with the tabs. Okay. So here in this particular one, this is going to be tab 1. So we had tab 1, and it's active on page load. Okay. And then in this one, this is going to be tab 2. And the last one is going to be tab 3. What's great about this is the order doesn't really matter, to be honest with you. So you can drag and drop these wherever you want. But what's kind of cool is, let's say I wanted tab 3 to be tab 2, right? I can drag and drop these around, but I don't need to worry about the content side because the IDs link them all together. It doesn't matter the order of the content. What really matters is the order of the tabs. Okay. So that's actually kind of a cool thing. So yeah, let's preview that. So here we go. I have my tabs. Nice. Cool. Let's go ahead now. And what I'm going to do, that will actually be a template. I will save that as a template. I'll probably add a little bit of description here to help you guys out. What I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this. I'm going to paste this, and I'm going to hide that. Okay. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to create that two column layout. Okay. So let's go ahead and add a 2-column in here. In the first column, I'm going to have tabs. In the second column, I'm going to have my tab content. Let's get rid of that 1 column. Okay. Then in the tabs here, okay, in the tabs, there is a setting for vertical tabs. So I'm going to say vertical tabs. If you see that, that gives me vertical tabs. And now, here, let's preview this. So now I kept the original tab that we created. So down here, we'll see that I have tab 2, tab 1, right? Now these tabs are really big, right? We're probably going to want to change those a little bit. So, so we go over here and we change the size of our 2 column, right? So we'll do that. Okay, let's preview that. That's pretty good, right? So now we have vertical tabs, right? Pretty cool. I like it. Oh, haha. Okay, interesting thing. If you notice here, I have the same tab ID. I didn't change my tab IDs. And if you notice, I'm clicking on this, it's changing the tabs up here. Wow, that was kind of a cool thing that happened live. A mess up by me, right? So, so to fix that, we just need to give these vertical tabs their own unique IDs. So let's just do V tab 1. All right, we'll go here and we'll go V tab 2, V tab 3, V, oops, V. Okay, so I added a V in front of each one. Yeah, interesting. And then my tabs, actually there's an ID on the tabs field. We're going to just call this V tabs. Let's preview that again. Ooh, interesting. I did this before. Oh. Okay, so there is an ID on the tabs and there's an ID on the tabs content field, and those need to be linked. By default, it's just my tabs. So let's go ahead and, let's preview that. There we go. Cool. This is actually a really, really cool idea to create this as a template so that, you know, a lot of that is kind of done for you. So yeah, so now we have vertical tabs and horizontal tabs. Pretty cool. I'm going to ship both of those as templates. Okay. Last one is we're going to go ahead and let's create a new, we'll do this one above these so that we can see them. So do a container and we'll do a 1 column, and on the 1 column, let's add a little bit of padding and whatnot. So there's some spacing. Now in this example, what I wanted to do was I want to have on mobile, I want it to be an accordion. And then on tablet and desktop, I want it to be a tabs. Okay. So what we need is, because Foundation is still mobile first, we need to start off with what we want on mobile. Okay. And so I want an accordion. So we're going to do an accordion. Okay. And let's just, section 1. Okay. Let's go ahead and we'll do text in this one. Okay. Now for accordion, we still need to have an ID for each section, and that's really cool because then we can link to it with those buttons, like I said earlier. So that just said section 1. We'll leave it at that. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy and paste this a couple times so we have multiple sections. This will have section 2. This will have section 3. Okay. Let's change out the content of those so that when we see the content, it'll change. So we'll do that. We'll do a quote in the last one, just like we did the others. Okay, so let's preview that really quick. So we have an accordion, and there we go, right? We have the accordion. Pretty slick. Now, section 1, if you notice on page load, it wasn't open. So we're probably going to want to go into there and set it to be open on page load. Okay. So let's try that, test that again. Section 1 is open on page load. And when we click on each section, they kind of open up. Cool. Now we need to transform this into tabs on tablet and desktop. And that's super easy. Okay. So we go to the main accordion stack. And if you'll notice here, we can do tabs at small, medium, large. So I want tabs on medium and large. Okay. And if you want to, you can say allow multiple open. There's other accordion settings that are be useful here. Here's open and close icons if you wanted to customize those. Okay. But I just want those to be, I wanted this to be tabs on medium and large. And so pretty simple, 2 clicks of a button and we're done. So here we go on medium and large. we have our tabs, section 1, section 2, section 3. Okay. Oh, if you notice, it didn't change. And that's because I was a bad boy and I did not change the section IDs here. So this is on section 2. I didn't change that to be section 2. And on section 3, I didn't change that to be section 3. Okay. There we go. So now when we change, there we go. Okay. And then if we go down to mobile, what we'll see is on small, we now have an accordion. So we go from tabs to the accordion, depending on your browser size. Really, really cool. And again, all of these are linkable with buttons and all that stuff that I showed from earlier on today from the previous example. So sweet. Let me see if small versus desktop. Does only applicable code download to the device? No. So I mean, to swap from this to that is it's all included. You get that with the theme. So whether or not you have that or not, it's still there. So it's all cached. So this is just hiding and morphing things, right? So for visibility's sake, like in the visibility stack, if you hide something on mobile or hide for small, the code will still be there. Okay, on desktop. However, if you notice inside, let's take the picture stack, for example. Let's say I add a picture, okay, to this. If you notice, the picture stack has a visibility setting baked into it, okay? So I could say show for medium and large, which is essentially the same thing as saying hide for small, right? Now, if I were to set this visibility to be hide for small on this image, that the HTML is still on the page. However, because it's added directly to an image, newer browsers are smart enough now to actually not load the image if it's set to be hidden on that particular device. Okay, so browsers are getting smarter to this as well, which is nice. Okay, and that's why some things have visibility settings baked in, especially for images. I think video and audio have it as well. And again, the latest versions of browsers should not load that particular media if it's set to be hidden on the device you're on. Okay, so that's nice. That's a good thing. Great question. Thanks, Danny. Can you put icons in the tabs? Yes. Here, let's do that. So if you want icons in the tabs, here, let's just pick an icon really quick. I'm going to open up an app called Icon Jar. It is what I use. I have Font Awesome 5 loaded into it. Oh, shoot. I forgot I broke my icon jar. Okay. What I'll do is here, let's do... I think I have SVG. I have some SVG icons in my clipboard. I have no idea what they are. Let's just use those. So we're going to go into here. Let's put in one of these SVGs in here. I have no idea what this SVG code is, but we'll just use that one. That's a rocket. Okay. So yeah, I could put my SVG code directly into there, and without any weight height requirements, let's go ahead. Is that going to scale it down? Oh, interesting. Okay, so it probably needs some sort of height, right? So let's so you can see that. I'm just going to put equals 20. Yeah, 20 is fine. Okay, so height equals 20. There we go. So yeah, it is possible. You notice it's a little bit bigger than the text, because those are, if I were to put icons that were all height of 20, that would do it for us, right? So yeah, eventually, we'll have it so you can put in the Font Awesome code icon in there. Actually, if we wanted to, you can also do, if we go into site styles, here, let's use Font Awesome 4 for right now. Let's go old school. So in site styles, if you load in Font Awesome 4, Okay. Then you could just do I have any font awesome things in my we'll do Rocket. Oh, why not? I think it's FA Rocket. Yeah. Okay. Oops. Skip. Yeah. Come on. I just want the code snippet. Whatever. I'll just type it myself. I class equals FA dash Rocket. Okay, so there's their rocket icon. Really tiny. Here, if we did what FA dash 4X, I think it is, something like that. There we go. So there we go. Yep, and I did this in Accordion, but obviously you could do the same exact thing in tabs. Okay, hopefully that helps out. So if you're using Font Awesome 4, you can just put in the Font Awesome 4 code right into the tab names. Or if you want to use SVGs from Font Awesome 5, you could do that as well. Eventually, we'll have the nice, macro syntax like this for Font Awesome 5. That will come definitely in the future. Okay. What clipboard history app do I use? This is Alfred. I love Alfred. It's amazing. Is there a way to make the border invisible or a small border? Yeah. Earlier on, I showed you how I use the border to hide the border on the tabs. So it's just with a swatch. You can target the tabs, or you can target the tab content area, and customize the border to be whatever you want. Can be built with alternate code for small, medium, large, coupled with PHP server for delivery lean. I mean, this stuff is really lean, Danny. I think you're overanalyzing it. To be honest with you, this stuff is really lean and mean already. So, you could use Agent. But a lot of that stuff is, Agent does allow you to target and only send down the code. But I mean, the foundation stuff is so lean and mean already that I honestly just think it's a waste of your time, to be honest with you. Okay. Sweet. Well, I think that answers all the questions. Hope you guys enjoyed today's talk. And yeah, it was really fun. I'm going to ship all of these templates. I created 3 of them today. So yeah, all these templates will be shipped out by the end of this week. So we're at Wednesday. So by Friday, they'll be shipped. I'll see if I can get it out tomorrow. I want to get a few more updates out in the fixes done in the foundation stacks. So we'll ship both because some of the templates that I created this week rely on some other additions and setting changes that I made to foundation. So I need to release that out before you can utilize some of these options that I've built in these templates. So right now is only one. It was in that tab content, the border thing. So, but I'm sure there'll probably be a little bit more. So anyway, I hope you guys have a great week. I know some of you I will see on Friday over at the Hangouts. Hopefully we'll see you on the Hangouts, 1:30 p.m. Pacific on then. And we'll see you then. Take care, guys.